What's up there guys, and welcome back to my channel. So if everything's looking very different and the sound quality is not exactly the best, it's currently because I'm filming on the GoPro. So I'm gonna be doing a bit of real estate photos at this beautiful place over here behind me. Let's just step a little more. This beautiful place over here. So I was gonna use the vlog camera to film, but unfortunately I shot a wedding recently. Well, fortunately I shot a wedding and my memory cards are completely full on all of those. Plus I'm gonna be using that specific camera to be shooting this place over here. So there's about 8 rooms, give or take, in this entire place, and we're going to be shooting it. So I'm gonna take you behind the scenes to show you what it's like to do real estate photography. You're gonna be needing about three things, sorry. A tripod, obviously we're shooting long exposure or at a low shutter speed just to get that extra light. 2 is going to be an external flash, just to fill in the shadows wherever the light cannot reach, or if that area is specifically dark you just want to illuminate it a bit. And then obviously you're going to need your camera and a nice wide angle lens. So let's get into that. Okay, so excuse my crazy hairdo, it is a bit of a mess, but it looks fairly decent. I'm quite happy with it. So these are the things we're going to currently be using for today's shoot. So firstly, we have our camera over here with a wide angle lens. This is a 11 to 16mm f2.8, but you're never going to be shooting f2.8 with real estate in a hurry. We have our Godox V860 Mark III, that's just for the Sony, and then we have our diffuser, and then we have our trigger, because most of the time you don't really want your light to be exactly where the camera is, so you don't want to hook it on the camera. This allows you to actually move it wherever you need in the room to fill that spot there with light. Sometimes you just might want to leave it on the floor to bounce up slightly, or put it in the bathroom if you're shooting outside of it, just to illuminate it a little bit better. And then we have our tripod here. So this is the foam tripod, and we're never really ever going to be using this kind of tripods for real estate. This is just the one I have with me because I shot a wedding recently, so it was the easiest one just to have. I said okay, 2 tripods, so you can use something a little more smaller, but you also do want it to be sturdy, so don't ever forget that, because in real estate you don't ever want it to move. So this is the room we're currently going to be shooting, and we're most likely going to try to get our first shot from currently where we're standing. Obviously I'm not sure how well it's looking 100% in terms of the exposure wise, but it's a little dark on the side, so you can see in that corner over there it's a bit dark, but we can try and get that lampshade on to illuminate that section there for me. And another thing you want to do for real estate is you always want to make sure that you don't have bins here. My cap is sitting there. You want to tidy up the space. That looks quite neat. My drone is sitting over there and the keys over there, so you want to tidy up to your space before you work in it to make it look quite homey. Well, not homey, but you want to make it look quite neat and clean. My camera bag is sitting there over. So those are the things we just need to do before we actually start getting into any of the photos. So you want to take a walk and just tidy up everything in the room, move what doesn't need to be there, add something if it needs to. If it looks too empty, such as those little books over there, that adds a nice little touch. We're going to leave the menu and all the resources there, so that helps to make the room quite nice. You also want to sometimes open up the curtains if it's not too bright. So open up this, you'll see we have some nice greenery in the back, so we're going to try and pull the greenery through the windows, which helps with adding that nice feeling to the place and make it look more airy and more better. So let's get into that right now. Okay, so like I said, rule number 1, you want to tidy up and pack everything that doesn't need to be there. This is when your mother told you to clean your room and now you actually have to do it. I'm just going to put the camera down while I tidy up whatever I can. So there's 2 types of real estate photography I'm going to be doing mainly. It's going to be obviously for like hotels and chalets and lodges. That's now you want to sell a feeling in the place. And then you're obviously going to be doing real estate photography for like agents and stuff like that, where they want to show off the space. So both you are going to be showing off the space. Some you might have to focus a little bit more on details in terms of having something as simple as a book on the bed, flowers around and stuff like that. Whereas some real estate you might want to just be focusing on the space. So make sure it's nice and tidy. If you can move a lot of the things out of the space that doesn't need to be there, that's making it look clustered, you want to be getting rid of all of those things to make it look as spacious as possible. Because when people buy houses, they want to see how much space they have to work with, not exactly how small the room looks. So that is one of the key things you might want to focus on when doing real estate photography. In the meantime, let me set up my camera and then I can show you the behind the scenes of that. So this is one of the scenes I was talking about, where if you're going to be shooting the room itself, as you can see from where the camera is placed over there, we're going to be covering this room, and then we just want a bit of light in the bathroom just to illuminate it a little bit more better, just so we get a better image. And back to the camera. So in a case like this, you don't actually want to be using full power on the flash, because obviously if you have to take it to full power, you're going to end up with an image looking like this. It's going to be full on blown. And as you can see on here, well, if you look at this image, you can see the bathroom is just too bright, and you just want something nice and subtle to bring up the bathroom, just to draw some attention but not all the attention to that specific area. So you take it down to about quarter power and you shoot the entire room, nicely exposing the room, and then you capture the bathroom just with a nice subtle hint. So it's pretty much always going to be trial and error when you're moving the light. Obviously know where the light bounces, what kind of room. If it's white, it's going to bounce mostly almost everywhere, because light reflects off white. But so in the previous image we had it set in that corner over there, but we're going to try something different by placing it over here near the mirror side, so it bounces more and it comes more from this side, because we're covering this area here in terms of the photos. This is where we can see from that angle over there. So always just try and move the light and see what you can get that's a little bit more better, different, and lights better. One of the biggest things in real estate photography you're going to find out, and you're going to begin to hate it just as much as I do, is going to be mirrors, especially when they're angled from that end and that end, because there's basically no blind spots for you to stand in and capture a photo without you being in. No matter where I move, I'm in a mirror spot. And then another thing is that I recently figured out is working with a foam tripod is freaking hard for real estate. So I normally work a photo tripod. It's a little more nifty, a little more smaller. You can squeeze it into tight spots, whereas a foam tripod is much thicker. It's a little more heavier. The heaviness is fine, but it's in terms of the space you have to work with. Sometimes you're working in really tight spaces. You want to make sure you have a bit of movement at least to place the camera where exactly you want, because you're going to be standing normally your corner spots to get the whole room properly. But in this case we can't really do that as much as I would like. Okay, so now we're done all inside the large little area in this little room over here. So we're going to do a bit of the outside shot. So I got the flash set inside, we have the camera set over there, and then we got the flash sitting just over there, just so we can illuminate this whole section here, so we can pull that all the way with this whole outside shot. So just remember, with reflections obviously you are going to be seen, so make sure where you place the camera is a blind spot. You're not going to be seen too much. So where I currently am, I'm quite invisible on that door there. But this is one of the methods you can use. Obviously you don't have to always do, there's different methods to doing real estate photography. You'll see there's people that do HDRs, there's people that do only flash, there's people that do multiple shots where each photo has to be edited in Photoshop just to get all your layers. So it depends on how you're shooting, and there's always different techniques. There's no one way for photography to be done. There's just different techniques that you can combine to get it to work. One of the ways I normally do it is I try to expose in one shot and then maybe get 2 or 3 other shots where I will use it to fill in or cover up other spots where it was a mess up. Another key thing you want to make sure of when you're doing real estate photography is, if they have a lot of nice lights, is that you hit every single light that you can on. So always make sure you get every light on. So we currently got the roof light on, and then also here, which in the other room we had it but I didn't put it on, is they have this nice little mirror light. Always hit it on. Oh sorry, that was the wrong one. That was the bathroom light that we got on also. And then you hit this night light on, which makes it perfect for when you caption, because as much light as you have, I'll show you from this camera over here, is this is your current view. Another key thing which I've noticed a lot of photographers and a lot of agents and a lot of places always like is this. Always make sure your toilet paper looks neat and it's not hanging out like that, and toilet seats always closed. Always, without a doubt, always make sure it's closed. I've never seen anything else that drives a person more crazy than an open toilet paper. And obviously you just want to tidy up whatever you can as usual. This is room number 2 that we're going to be capturing now. Okay, so we're all done basically with inside the room. So now we're going to capture a bit of the outside photos, which is basically going to be this view. So one of the key things you want to ever remember when you're shooting is your sky is always going to be overexposing, unless you're shooting at a very good time of day. So very close to like your golden hour, if the sun is behind you, that's perfect with blue skies, because then all of this is illuminated quite nicely, no shadows, and your sky is going to show perfectly. So you always want to try and get this kind of scenes during a nice golden hour. Obviously this here is not exactly the best lighting to be shooting with, because it's going to be causing a lot of shadows. Like if you look at this, look how dull the sky looks, you can see it, but then look how dark this area looks. And if I expose for the area inside, the sky is going to be blown out quite heavily. So this is again where a flash comes in handy, because you can always still try and counter your dark zones with a flash and expose for the sky a bit and the buildings. So normally what you can also do is sky replacement. That does work. I'm going to try and do it with this place over here and see how well it goes. You're just going to kind of shoot for it, because you don't want to have this harsh contrast between your buildings and your sky looking dark. So you don't want to have a dark building in the sky, sunshines, blue skies, and all these nice fancy little skies you can replace it with. So that is just one of the things you might want to keep in mind when shooting these outside photos. So I'm not going to do all the outside photos, I'm just going to do a few, because I still have to capture this entire building behind me, along with this bridge that runs across all the way to where the parking lot and all of that area is. But we're going to capture this in the meantime. So another good thing about using these kind of flashes over here is that they have a zoom function, meaning you can focus light and shoot it a little more further. So let's take this building for example. So I don't want to illuminate anything within the spot, which is already perfectly fine. I just want to get that dark zone over there. So I would just focus this on a zoom function and then focus the light within that little area there, because I did one with the diffuser and you can see I lighted up the bush and everything, and it looked a little unnatural. You want to try and keep it as natural but as good as possible. Okay, so we're back here to the first room where we started right here. This is where we started, and that is also my room. So we're going to be doing these outside shots here, but as you can see the sky is very blown out, and obviously you're going to get a lot of shadows coming underneath all these plants over here. That is again where the zoom function on this flash comes in. So I'm going to do a photo without the flash, and I'm going to do one with the flash on the zoom function so you can see what it's like. But I might not zoom as much, or I might not zoom at all, because I want to actually cover the whole property and just underlight all those plants. We might get a bit of shadows, but let's see how it goes. And this is the results. And that is some of the results you can get by using a flash just on the outside. It's obviously not the most brightest flash or an outside flash, but it does the perfect job of just giving that nice hint of light underneath all those plants. Instead of having those harsh shadows, just kind of eliminates it and gives it a bit more of a brighter, airy look. And it allows you to bring out the greens and the more tones in the building itself, rather than having it dark and using a lot of shadow soft light. This eliminates that from Lightroom, meaning you hold a lot more quality also. Okay, and that kind of concludes on how we do photos for real estate, lodges, and many more. Like I said, there's multiple techniques. You can use a flash, HDRs, multiple flashes, constantly doing different exposures, going into Photoshop, Lightroom, and working with all these programs. So there is the results are endless and your possibilities are endless. It's just the way you prefer to do it and the easier way of working and what works for you. So I thought I ended while I'm nice and sweaty, so you can see what it's like. But don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, just so every time I upload you do get a notification. And I really appreciate all the support you guys have been giving me, and I will see y'all in the next video.